It's got a blessing and a curse with it. If a person can learn to manage it, learn to turn it on when they need it, and
Mm-hmm.
learn to kind of back off and still take leisure time and rest and relax when they don't need it, then it's a good combination. Otherwise, it can create all kinds of problems for a person.
Yeah.
Make them cranky, make them angry, make them too critical, make them have ideals that are unattainable. There's numerous things with that can happen.
Huh. And okay. So let me see here. Mars also is the bitter taste.
Hmm.
And you often read about people when they start their meditation practice. They see things about themselves.
Yeah.
Stuff comes up from the past. There's like this processing thing that happens.
Mm-hmm.
Does that spark up anything for you?
Yeah.
Mars bitter?
Well, that's an important point. A person who's working with their Mars tends to be able to take a harder look at what their strengths and their weaknesses are, which is good because if you know what yours or someone else's strengths or weaknesses are, you know how much to give or to take or to do before some kind of break occurs. So for example, if you're training to get stronger and you have this particular limit, if you've got a healthy Mars, you will know go up to the limit, go slightly beyond the limit, then let it go. And then what happens is you incrementally get stronger and you incrementally get better. But if you've got a Mars or a Saturn that's pushing that Mars or restricting that Mars, then you go up to the limit and you think the only way to get good is to go 200%. And then you end up injuring yourself and then you can't train at all. And then you end up going backwards. So when it comes to Mars and meditation, when people first start meditation, yes, what happens is now they're being quiet. Now they're taking a breath, and all that stuff they haven't thought about, all the hurts that they've pushed down, all the things that they have, kind of tried to protect themselves from through their psychological complexes, it comes right into their awareness. And most people stop and say, well, this is too stressful. And that's like the bitter pill that you have to swallow of the reality of your experience. But if you can stay with it and look at it and sort through it, it's just like if you have all kinds of crap in your basement and you just never want to go down there and clean it out, but one day you have to. Well, the strong Mars will say, it stinks, it's moldy, but it's making my house sick. So I need to go in there and I need to get this stuff out whether I like it or not.
Right.
Whereas if Mars has some issues or not a lot of strength to it, that person will just keep throwing crap down there hoping that they die before they have to actually go through the basement. let their kids deal with it,
Right. If they're lucky enough to have the money, they can hire somebody else to do it.
That's true. So that's when you need that Mars-Jupiter combination, then you don't have to worry about it.
Right, exactly. So Mars is of the Earth. I have this Mars prayer that I found somewhere. I don't remember where. It's from the Rig Veda, and I give it to my clients, the ones who have Mars issues or their Mars isn't very strong.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to read it to you. It's one sentence or two sentences.
Okay.
Mars, you are the very face of fire in the summit of the heavens. Only by your strength do I gain the power to thrive on Earth. May you activate the watered seed.
What was the last sentence again? May you activate what?
The watered seed.
Huh.
Isn't that wonderful?
That is.
It's just so, I love it.
And it speaks to what Mars is about. Mars is that planet that allows you to do what you need to do here on this Earth. Deal with the difficulties, strive for the ideals and the greatness that you've been inspired to follow. And then, as the losses come, you deal with them. And as the successes arise, you grow from them. So that's interesting. That prayer really speaks quite a bit to what Mars's role is in this life and in this world.
Yeah, he's the fire element.
Mm-hmm.
And fire is light, it's heat. Let me see. What else is fire? Because I'm thinking about that first sentence. You're the very face of fire in the summit of the heavens.
It's interesting.
Yeah, and then the power to thrive on Earth. Isn't that true? And that is when your Mars is not very strong, then you do run out of energy. You run out of energy more quickly.
Yeah.
And you have to rest more, and then that means you're able to do less over time.
Mm-hmm. And you tend to get beat down quicker.
That's true.
You know, if you've got, you know, that's why Mars and Saturn, it's easy for them to get such high Digbala scores and Shadbala, because those are the two planets that in this world where you're going to experience adversity, poverty, death, sickness. I mean, everyone's going to experience something like that at one point in time.
True.
Or just a beatdown. You know, they give you the ability to carry on, you know, to keep going forward. And some people have told me that, you know, the point of this life, this embodied life, is to, number one, ideally wake up to the truth of your nature, but number two, the things that happen to you, that is burning out or burning off the karmas that need to be resolved before you can, you know, let go of attachment to the things of the earth that cause pain or that cause difficulty. So people who go through serious illnesses or accidents or difficult times, if they're doing their utmost best and these things still occur, that is part of the process of this life. That's part of what we're meant to do, is to take action, to live through it, to burn it off, to let it go, so that we can become lighter. Which is why sometimes when people survive cancer, they feel lighter and they feel freer, because they've survived and they've burnt this off. Or if they go through a very traumatic, difficult relationship and they did their utmost best to be a good person, to thrive, once that relationship is gone, they feel lighter, they feel uplifted, because that Mars and that Saturn has allowed them to endure through it, such that karma can be released, you know. And that is important of those two planets. It's not just Jupiter and Venus, you know, get all devotional and disappear in a cloud of greater understanding. It's about, you got to work this stuff off. That's why you're here. That's the importance of being here.
So then meditation itself is one of the ways that you burn karma too. Mm-hmm. And so Mars is involved in that, in the sense that you're disciplined enough to do it.
It's just like it's the training part of it. Yes.
It's the training part of it, the actually sitting there when you've got a million things to do.
Right. And it's also the part, you know, meditation, it does burn karma, but the more a person meditates, the easier they are able to handle life as it comes. Mm-hmm. Which means that if a difficult situation arises, the difficult situation is still there, but they're not reacting anymore in such a way to make it worse, because it's the reaction that makes it worse that amplifies or sustains the karma. So if you are a regular meditator and something goes horrible in your life, you are less likely to freak out in such a way to make it worse, creating more karma. You're more likely to stay poised and neutral. Like, again, in the Yoga Sutras, it says that the best way, one of the ways you come to knowledge, is to be essentially happy for the good things, happy for the virtuous things that you experience, and then neutral to non-virtue and neutral to negativity. It doesn't say resist it. It doesn't say do anything with it. It says that you are neutral to these things. And meditation gives you the ability, the detachment, to be able to do that, which takes me down a whole other path, because you know, people get into yoga and meditation because they think, I'm going to do this, everything in my life is going to be wonderful after that. When if you read the texts, what they seem to say is you have equanimity in gain and loss. You are neutral to negative things. It doesn't say those things disappear. It says, do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, I totally do. Yeah. It's almost the same as them not being there.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. So it sounds like just doing meditation alone it strengthens your Mars if your Mars needs strengthening.
Right. Exactly. Mm-hmm.
So could you talk about the difference between frustration and righteous anger?
Can I talk about that?
Mars, right? His anger is for righteous. It's more of a righteous anger, and I guess a frustrated Mars or a bad Mars, or I don't want to say a bad Mars, afflicted or
imbalanced
Mars tends towards frustration.
Yeah, I mean, the reason I laughed a lot at that is because that was something that I personally had to work out a lot. In the beginning, when I was very young, I thought my frustration with people and judgment and high ideals that caused me problems, I thought that was righteous. What did you call it? Righteous what?
Righteous anger.
Yeah, righteous anger. I used to think that was righteous anger. When really I realized that was just me being an asshole. Um, but really, when you think about it, righteous anger is when it's simple. If you see someone being mistreated, like being mistreated in a way that is cruel, then righteous anger is appropriate there. You want to defend the person. Something arises in you where you say, no, stop that. For example, one woman I know, she had been in a relationship with an extremely physically abusive person. And this person was going to, this person, I forget what they want. They were going to get together or something. And I said, you know what, I'll be there. And she said, oh, well, he can just fly off the handle. And I said, yeah, but I'm not a 115-pound girl. So that's fine. He can fly off the handle if he wants. And so that is like righteous anger. If you see something that is inappropriate, cruel to someone, the frustration, that's a little harder for me because it's easy to look at the world and see this isn't right. Things aren't going well. It's easy to get frustrated. But as the years have gone by, I've noticed that the things that I've personally gotten frustrated about was just simply misunderstanding that everyone's doing their best. So like if I'm interacting with someone and they're being very difficult, or what used to happen with me is I would do sessions with people and I would have written out specifically how the session was supposed to go, what to do step by step, as clear as I could possibly make it. And I would always get like, someone would call me or write to me asking me something that was written in like the third sentence of that email.
Yeah.
So as time went on, I ended up having like a 2-page email trying to cover every possible thing that a person could wonder about. But what kept happening is people weren't reading it.
I know.
And so for me, that was frustrating, but hold on.
Okay.
Let's see if I can get that. There you go. That was a silly frustration because I just had a high expectation that people would pay attention to certain things. Yeah. So I didn't really answer your question, I don't think, but righteous anger is the obvious common sense. Someone is being abused, mistreated, or something is clearly wrong or cruel happening. Is it appropriate to respond with righteous anger? The frustration you have to be more cautious about because it's easy to get caught up in your own mind about how should this be? And most of the time, if we take into consideration that we don't know what kind of life a person has had, why they might be the way they are, even in that, frustration tends to become a waste of time. So, but that you couldn't have told me that 20 years ago. So it's going to go over the heads of the people who don't get it.
Well, there is a kind of a paradox involved. The goal of Mars is to become innocent-minded, like Ernst says, to love things as they are. And then by loving things as they are, change is possible.
Right.
But it's also Mars that would get involved in what they call a righteous war, like there's some atrocity going on and people are being put in concentration camps, for instance.
Right.
Well, that's something that needs to be corrected.
Yeah, exactly.
So Mars gets involved in that, and it's not always easy to know the difference.
Experience, I mean, that's all. And even then, when I think about now, am I being righteously angry about certain things, or is it frustration? I don't know. You just have to do and pray that you're doing the best, and then see if there's things that need to be tweaked, or if you can take a deeper self-inventory to see if there's a better way to respond to that. I mean, there's a whole level of that, and I think that really it comes down to the individual, because at the end of the day, it's the individual who's going to judge whether it's a righteous thing or whether it's just frustration. And I see people all the time that go off on a soapbox about something they think is just so damn important, and they think that they're fighting a righteous war for some kind of knowledge over something, when it's not even worth it, at least from my experience. But to them, it is. So I think that's a harder question to kind of.
Yeah, it is.
It's a harder question to talk through.
Defending the defenseless.
Right. That clear.
That's a clear Kshatriya warrior thing.
Exactly.
Warrior thing to do.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, well, Let me see what else is there to say about this. It's auspicious. Mars is considered to be auspicious, even though he's cruel.
Well, he tends
Very
to get things done.
What's that?
I said he tends to get things done.
Yeah, and yeah, so that makes sense. And there's a lot of instances where the cruelty and the auspiciousness are the same thing.
Right.
You know, like a surgeon saving your life by
Right.
cutting off your, you know, your gangrene riddled leg.
Yeah.
Something like. Now, what if a person has a really strong Mars and a really weak Venus? How would you even advise a person like that when it comes to striving towards peace, enlightenment, you know, that kind of thing?
Right.
Venus is weak and they're not getting any of the fulfillment.
Well, with Venus, you know, the things that you focus on with Venus is really taking time to nourish oneself, taking time to surround oneself with beautiful things, taking time to give one the moments of relaxation. So if you've got a strong Mars, that's going to be good because an individual is going to be focused on accomplishing things. But again, what happens is it becomes imbalanced in that the person is not able to allow themselves to appreciate the work that they have done. So it's in a way, it's kind of a stretch in regards to connection, but it's similar to probably how I would advise someone with a strong Mars-Saturn combination. Is I would say use that Mars for example, if you're going to use it for 8 hours a day for your work, do it all then. Really hit it hard for that 8 hours. Once the 8 hours is up, stop. Quit thinking about work, go for walks, force yourself to develop that Venus, to allow yourself to nurture yourself, to pamper yourself, to give yourself time to relax and rejuvenate. It's like people who work out nonstop all the time, and you see them and they're getting skinnier and thinner and they look worn out, you know? And it's not a good kind of skinny. It's not like you can see the muscle definition and they look healthy and vibrant. It's like they're wearing themselves down.
Right.
You know, in that kind of situation with that Mars Venus as an example, that would be the type of person where I would say, look, work out hard one day, take 2 days off, then work out hard again, then take 2 days off. So in a sense, it's going to be counter to what they want to do. But in the long run, that will allow them to work on it and develop that Venus. Because if we think about Mars as like a masculine energy and Venus as a feminine energy, we need both of those things. And so just like, you know, a male, the male energy feels good when it accomplishes something. Well, the female energy, the pure, strictly female energy, we're not talking about mixtures here, but
right.
Strictly pure female energy actually gets healthier by just relaxing, just by being receptive, by letting people take care of them. Mm-hmm. So within ourselves, you know, we need to pay attention to both of those sides of ourselves, whether we're male or female.
This is true. Yeah. I guess that would also apply to enlightenment.
Yes, exactly. Because the people who try to meditate all day long, 24 hours a day, and don't realize there are other things that are going on in this life, which is also a part of their spirituality, they miss a lot of things. You know, there's a song that says something like, let's see, what was it? It's kind of talking about in my earlier days with my high ideals, I missed a million miles of road I should have seen. I don't remember the exact lyrics of it, but what it's implying is when you're young and driven and you think you have these high ideals, you miss so many other things that you should have seen or you should have walked on or you should have experienced. So yeah, even with the enlightenment process, there needs to be the combination of your intense training, the meditation, the study, the rest to let it integrate into you, to having a hobby such that you're able to take your mind away for a little while, to working. It has to be in balance, as much as possible.
Okay, Ryan, thank you so much. This was really an interesting conversation.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I appreciate this. So now, if people want to get in touch with you, if they want to study with you, what do they do?
Okay, so basically at this point in time, my sessions are very limited. In fact, I'm hardly doing any sessions because I'm focused on, number one, the astrology apprenticeship program. And you can go to ashevillevedicastrology.com, and there's an apprenticeship program section that tells you how it all works. It's a 4-year program, and it starts at the beginning of every year. It starts the February of every year, a new class. and also the Kriya Yoga Apprenticeship Program, which is a 2-year intensive yogic training program. So that's what most of my work is focused on now. So if you're interested in any of those things, again, you can go to astrovedicastrology.com. But you just told me about that you're doing something called an astrology lab, correct?
Yeah, the astrology lab.
Yeah. And so that, I mean, as we talked about that, I think that would be great. You know, you're doing it mainly for people who are studying with Ernst, but through the apprenticeship program, or anyone who wants to be involved in astrology, tell me how that works. So it's like a lab, like a college lab, you know, where you
where you sit in class, you learn the information, right? Then you go to a lab and you practice it.
Right.
So basically, that's what we're doing.
So it's like group practice.
Applying it to actual charts.
Okay.
To our own charts and to each other's charts. And there's not like a lot of lecture involved. It's more hands-on, actually doing the interpretation. And you get
it's based on what people have already learned, and then you help them figure out how to apply it or bring it into their chart.
Yeah, how to apply it so that they learn it on a much deeper level. So, and also to develop confidence for actually doing readings for people.
Right. Okay.
You know, a lot of people who are in the astrology lab right now, they're doing it with the intention of becoming professional astrologers.
Yeah.
So they get some mentoring as well.
If you don't mind, I would like to tell my astrology students about that. Would that
would be great. Okay. Sure. Absolutely.
So, since you asked me how people can get in touch with me and what I'm doing, well, then how can people get in touch with you for your astrology lab?
I'll give you the link.
Okay.
2 pages on my site about it. One where it's describing in detail what we're doing, and then another page for actually signing up to do it. So I'll send you the link for both of those things, and you can put it below.
Okay. So, but your website's divinetimeastrology.com, right?
Yes, divinetimeastrology.com.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, well, thank you, Ryan. This was really fun.
Yeah, it was good talking to you again.
We'll talk again soon.
Okay.
Bye.